that looks like a lot of fun and that you wouldn't mind doing that in a science class. So it's been very, very good on a lot of levels. But there's some other levels. So there's a problem. And now I'm going to talk to you about the problem. And we need help with this problem. So it's, as I showed, the river, the river classroom is right here in this patch of woods. And we are accessing, the students are able to access the river all the way up and all the way down. They're able to walk along the bank. We've created trails. The problem is that this site here, right there, that open field, is the site of, let's see if I can go back, I missed it, is the site of the old Fairbanks factory. And the Fairbanks factory was a factory that made scales that were made out of cast iron. So they, does anybody know what a foundry is? Does anybody want to guess what a foundry is? It's if you look at the, I don't know if you can see, do you see the smokestacks? The a lot of the smoke coming out. They're melting metal and they're casting metal. So this is a foundry that was making the scales that basically this town was built upon. This foundry, is the foundation, and the money from this factory built many, many of the buildings that you're studying in right now. So, and what they did when apparently there was a big fire in this factory, and the factory burned down, sort of, and it became uninhabitable. And so what they did is they bulldozed it. They bulldozed it into that field that I showed you, and they bulldozed it into the river. So if you, I think it's the right to it. So if you look at where this arrow is, right here, that field that you can see from the aerial map is right here. And they bulldozed the factory down. And so the students are in the river, they're studying the river, but the river is full of debris. It's horrible. So if you look, I will show you some pictures. So if you look at the riverbank right below that site, it looks like this. And if you look closer, it's bricks, it's concrete, and the bricks and the concrete are not necessarily a problem. They're sort of aesthetically, visually a problem, but they're not necessarily a problem. But also, in this debris is tons and tons of metal. And it's, I don't know, can you see right here? And if you can see all the metal in there? Do you see it? Okay. So, and it just goes on and on. The whole riverbank underneath that site is just, it's orange with metal debris. It's been rusting for years, and so it's just discolored this whole region. But the thing that's kind of interesting is the metal is interesting. A lot of it is historic. So I'm just showing you examples. Some of it is piping and tubing. Some of it's quite large. If you were standing there, your foot would be like this side. So some of it's really large. Some of it's very small. You can see all the little bits of metal in here. And the kids, right from day one, were saying, Ms. Govan, we have to clean this up. We have to clean this up. And I'm like, well, we're not really down here to clean up. We're supposed to be studying the river. And so we've been sort of telling them that we would organize a cleanup in the spring. This is like a really huge piece of metal. Piping, other debris. Again, there's also things that are semi-unidentifiable. There's also just plain trash. So this is a huge piece of metal. Now it looks like there's oil in there. It really isn't. It's just water. It's just water. It's been there. Let's see. It was probably bulldozed in 1976. So it's been there 40 years. with nobody cleaning it up. Some of it's really interesting, like old gears, old wheels from the big factory. Some of it's just plain trash, like this is just a tube that a student was pulling out of the water. Some of it's in the water, some of it's on the riverbank. Some of it is like melted metal and wood that has been charred because there was a fire. And you know, some of it, I don't even know what it is, because when things are burned, they all sort of conglomerate together. And this is the site. So I wanted to talk about what the plan is. So we are hoping that some of you would be interested in helping us create a river cleanup project. We can pull up pickup trucks on this site and this site. The water level right now is, in that picture, is quite low. On May 1st, which is when you're having your big organization day, your environmental day, the water's going to be high. So we may not be able to get in the water as clearly and cleanly as the students were in these pictures. So we're going to have to get waders. We're going to have the students are all on board. You're going to have 140 students who will be working to help do this. And there's a lot of hands and a lot of picking up that need to happen. But we're going to have to park a pickup truck or two over on both sides on those locations. And we're going to have to just start salvaging metal. Here's another picture of where the pickup trucks could be parked, or dumpsters. I mean, this is the thing. A lot of research needs to go in this. So what is the plan? We're going to need transportation, either dumpsters or pickup trucks, or some other way to take the iron. We need to arrange for a metal salvage recipient. So it's either going to be the dump or it's going to be an organization that salvages metal. We need leaders to run different work crews. We need a public relations team because we would like to get the community, we'd like to get adults and other members of the community to come and show up on this day and have it be a big successful town event, really. We need a writer and a photographer, either someone here doing that writing and photography for the Caledonia Record or a reporter. We're going to need equipment, waders, gloves, food for work crews. We're going to need donations to buy or supply that equipment. And the plan, but mostly we need help. So the plan is that we would station different work teams salvaging, because believe it or not, the metal has gone all the way down the river. It's quite a ways down the river. It's not just, so if this was where the factory was, we're finding metal way down the river. So we're going to have different work crews that are collecting metal, and then we're going to need transportation teams to sort of, you can't drive way down here at all. So you're going to have people that are hauling it. We'll need containers to haul it. So it's a big project, but we were hoping that some of you might be interested in participating. And there's so many realms of participation that anybody could do. For instance, I was just talking to the woman across the hall from the Natural Resources Council, and she does river restoration, but it has to do with planting trees along the edge of the river so it doesn't erode. So a person could coordinate with the Natural Resources Council to try to also do plantings, because there is a lot of erosion along the riverbank. So there's a lot of need in this project, and I wanted to pitch it to you to see if there was anybody here who might be willing to take this on as their sophomore environmental project. Okay. So I'm going to leave the last 5 minutes, because there's 5 minutes, for questions. Does anybody have questions or things they want to clarify? Or let, you know, because it's good for me to know where I'm not being clear. Any questions? Yeah?
Wait, what river is this?
Thank you. See, there's where we go. Do you know where the public school is? Right down the road?
Yeah.
I'm going back to that picture. So I think on this map I tried to leave the academy here. So there's the academy. If you walk down the road toward the interstate, there's the public school. and if you keep going on that road, you cross this little river. It's a little river. It's not that big you saw in the pictures, right? It's right behind. It runs right behind this school, and then it goes into the Passumpsic River, which I'm hoping my previous students remember. And then the Passumpsic goes into the Connecticut, and the Connecticut goes to the ocean. So that's the river.
Remember last year we cleaned the tennis courts? It's right behind.
You guys cleaned the tennis courts?
Yes.
Okay.
And 8 years ago when I first came to teach here, we went down to that river and one of my students carried this huge metal from the
Yeah, there's a lot of metal down there. And I mean, the students are wondering if there's actually money to be made from the metal salvage, but I keep telling them that's not the point. Yeah. But the other piece is that a lot of this metal is very historic. So